Okay, well, going to wrap up today's formal availabilities with the driver of the M&M's Red, White, and Blue Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, and that is Kyle Busch. Kyle is the defending winner of the Coca-Cola 600, and last year you completed the career sweep, winning at every single track on the circuit. Kyle, talk about your hopes of repeating, becoming a back-to-back 600 champion.
Yeah, that would certainly be the goal and all of our aspirations here for this weekend. You know, we've certainly unloaded pretty close and felt like we had a fast car in practice. Really like the red, white, and blue M&M's Toyota, so hopefully we can qualify up front here tonight and get a good starting spot for Sunday night.
Thank you, Kyle. If you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll get you a mic. We'll start up here with Greg, then we'll go to Jordan and David.
Greg Ingalato week. Thanks for coming in. Last week, Denny said before the All-Star race that maybe NASCAR didn't need a 600-mile race. Do you think we need a 600-mile race? Do you think it's still relevant in today's NASCAR?
I believe I was asked the same question last week as well, too. So, in my opinion, I think there is tradition. I think Denny thinks otherwise. But to me, I just remember being a kid growing up watching the 600-miler on TV, and it certainly meant a little bit more years ago. Like the farther back you went, I think it meant even more because, it was kind of man versus machine. Would the machine make it? Would the man make it through the 600-mile endurance race? But, these days the cars are essentially almost bulletproof, and so are some of us drivers. Just kidding. I think it's just today's society is just different than what it used to be. And so if that means that a shorter race would be a better race, then I'm all for it. I've also been on the flip side of that where I go run some short track races across the country, and they used to be 100 lappers and now they're 200 lappers, or there used to be 200 lappers and now they're 300 lappers because they think longer is better. So depends on who you talk to and what side of the bed they woke up on.
Go to Jordan in the middle there.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Kyle, where would you rank Joe Gibbs right now in terms of the speed and everything compared to Stewart-Haas Racing? Brad was in here earlier, and he thought even the Hendrick cars right now may be the best on the track.
He said Hendrick. I don't know. I think Hendrick has certainly found some speed. They're certainly getting better. They're waking up. They've come to play a bit more lately, and as far as the Penske group goes, they don't really qualify that well, but they always race well. And then you look at the SHR cars, and they'll qualify well and they'll race well, typically. It seems like the SHR cars are trimmed out a little bit more than some of the rest of us, so they get more speed out of their cars, but maybe they don't have it for the long haul, where it seems like the JGR cars are kind of a compromise. Like we might not qualify on the pole or be the best in qualifying, but we'll also race well. So we're kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it middle of the road, but I feel like we're in a position to win each week. We put ourselves in position to win each week, and just due to certain circumstances, for us in the 18 car, we've kind of eliminated ourselves a couple times this year. So it's certainly been frustrating, but we'll keep fighting.
David, in the middle there, and then we'll go with Steve.
David Smith, The Athletic. Kyle, in 2018, the 10 fastest cars in each race earned top 10 finishes in those races about 70% of the time. This year, that rate has increased to 90%. Have you noticed a heightened dependency on pure speed? And if you have, has that done anything to change your team's focus in planning for a race or for the rest of the season?
Can you send me those stats? I need those for my Monday meeting. I don't know if how much that has to do with track position and being up front. I feel like this year when you are the leader or you're running in the top three, the air is so much different there that you can if you can maintain that position, then you can hold that spot for pretty much the entire run. Whereas though in years past, you could have a better opportunity to kind of pass some guys. If you were 16th or 18th or whatever, and you'd kind of work your way up to the front. You'd get into the top 10, and then you could maintain the top 10. You could still continue to drive up through the field. So I don't know how all of that is exactly formulated and relative to competition, but yeah, certainly when you have a faster car and you can keep it up front, the statistics are going to look better. So it's always nice to have fast cars. Kevin Harvick says it best. Can't drive a slow car fast. So,
Steve?
Kyle, Steve Reed from the Associated Press. Joe Gibbs going into the Hall of Fame yesterday kind of modestly said that, it's all about the people that you hire, and that's part of his success. But in your mind, why has he been so successful?
Joe Gibbs has been successful his entire life. There's certainly some stories through his books and things that he's written with Game Plan for Life that you learn a lot about him, and you learn about some of his sacrifices and some of the poor decisions that he made, and where he's been able to change his life and change the direction of it through his early years. But when you look at him as an NFL football coach and the success and the things that he did there, yeah, he hired a lot of great people, and he also hired a lot of good players and things like that, but he was the brainchild behind all of that, and he's got to take some credit there. So I think the same can be said for him and his racing and his race team as well, where he hires good drivers, he hires good crew chiefs, he keeps good people, and the better and people the better the people that are there and the better they continue to move up the ladder and stay with the company for a long time. I mean, I've been there now 10, 12 years, whatever it's been, and a lot of the same faces are there that when I got there that are still there to today, and they've been there for 20, 25 years. I mean, we have our team Christmas dinners every single year, and we give out 20-year awards, 25-year awards, and there's a lot of people there that have been there for that long. So it's pretty special that that he's been able to have the that allure or the camaraderie and the chemistry within the organization to keep people there forever and to treat people well that they want to stay. And that comes all from the top.
Go to Daniel in the front.
Dale McFadden with NBC Sports. Kyle, there's a handful of drivers rookie drivers who are making their first start in the Coke 600 this weekend. What is some advice you'd give them that you wish you had received before your first start in this race?
It's a long-ass race, so don't even focus on, you want to work on your car handling a little bit, but you can't necessarily focus on your car handling for the first 300 miles, and then you can kind of start to pay attention through it for, mile marker 400 to 500, and then 500 on is where it all comes to play. That's when business picks up. That's when you need to be in position in order to put yourself in position for a final pit stop or the final couple of pit stops that'll gain you track position and get you up in the position that you need to be. So, if you're running mid-pack through the beginning part of the race, there's really nothing to worry about. You just try to stay on the lead lap. If you do go a lap down, you just try to stay one lap down, and because there may be an opportunity for you to be able to get a wave around or something with the stage brakes and stuff like that. So you can't get impatient and try to overdo it.
Question in front here.
Andrew Fuller with the podium finish. Kyle, you're known for running in all three of the NASCAR series. How is it running a truck race and then hopping into an Xfinity car and then a Cup?
I mean, you just got to know the differences between the three vehicles. For me, I feel like I do it not enough as much anymore as I used to, but I still kind of understand the different vehicle dynamics that they have between each other, the aerodynamics that they have between each other, the different driving techniques that they have, and so I kind of formulate a plan when I go from truck to car or whatever it might be, that the driving techniques on this one that I can use the same on this one, but modify it a little bit and then do it over here is kind of the same thing. So, a lot of guys think that when they go from truck, Xfinity, Cup, that they can drive all of them the same lift points, braking points, all that sort of stuff at all these racetracks. Well, that's not true. Like if you're at a breaking point with the truck, you might be able to use the same one with the Xfinity car, but you're going to have to be different with the Cup car, or it could be the same with the Cup car and the truck. It just all depends. So you've got to formulate all that in your brain and figure it all out, and I have enough experience doing that where I feel like I can do it.
Go to Woody.
Woody Kane with MRN. Kyle, if you would look ahead for us a week at Pocono with what you've seen and felt in the package so far. I know we got a little taste of it with the Xfinity cars last year in the drag ducks. How do you think this package might perform at a place with that long straightaway and flat corners?
I'm not sure exactly, you know. It all depends. It depends on how the weather is up there, on what happens and how the race plays out, how good the race will be, if it's cloudy, if it's sunny, whatever. You know, what the track looks like now, a year removed since we've been there. But, you know, I think restarts are obviously going to be interesting. You know, you go down the front straightaway, everybody fans out. That some guys push. You know, pushing is a big deal now because of how much drag the cars have when you can put two engines together essentially on one car. That's what's happening when you're pushing, because the air over the first car doesn't have time to go down and hit the rear spoiler. It keeps going straight across both roofs and only hits one rear spoiler. That's why it's faster to push. So, you know, guys will be doing a heck of a lot more of that. And, you know, bump draft is going to be important down the straightaways stuff with coming out of turn 1, going down into turn 2. So once it kind of single files out a little bit, I'm not sure we'll see a whole lot different. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be pessimistic here. It might actually be a tick worse because the wake, the aero wake that you have from the car in front of you to behind you, like I'm thinking turn 2 right now is going to be a disaster when you're trying to close on somebody and you're making ground up on them in the middle of the corner, and then your car lifts and takes off and goes to the wall and knocks the wall down. There's nothing you can do to protect that as a driver, and that's what's so frustrating. That's what happened to me with Larson last week. Like, I had speed on him through the middle of the corner, and he washed up a little bit in front of me, and my car just found his wake and took off and went to the fence, you know? So, like, there's nothing you can do. People are like, well, you just drove it in the fence. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I meant to do. I drove it in the fence, exactly. Like, no, the air took me into the fence, but whatever. So it's a challenge, you know? It's way bigger now than what it was.
Any final questions for Kyle? Nope. We'll go here, Lee.
For someone who's accustomed to shifting there, taking that element out of it, how's that going to change the dynamic in the car?
I haven't even thought about that. Did they take shifting away?
Well, they said potentially with the new gear change that shifting will be obsolete.
Oh, that makes it more fun. I have no idea. I mean, shifting at Pocono, I think, has always kind of been. When we went from shifting to not shifting, it didn't do anything. Like, it didn't save anybody any money. It didn't do anything. All it did was reduce gear temps, you know? So in my opinion, I think it's better if you're able to shift. You can have an opportunity to have different gearing and stuff like that for the betterment of you and different than somebody else that you're racing around. And it might actually help you be able to make moves or passes or whatever. But in all retrospect, it's probably not much different.
And for us who are not behind the wheel, when guys side draft you, is there almost an art to doing that to put your competition in the wake so it puts them at a disadvantage?
Yeah, I mean, when you're side by side with somebody, you're always trying to side draft them and slow them down, get yourself in the right position for when you're going down a straightaway to getting into the next corner, things like that. So there's an art to it, there's a science to it, but you know, I guess that's probably all I need to share.
Any final questions for Kyle? All right. Thanks a lot, Kyle. Good luck
Yep.
on Sunday.
All right, thanks.